Hello and welcome to the Solving Literal Equations Notes Examples. Let's start with example number one, and we have solve 4m minus 3n equals 8 for m. So as it says in the notes, we can't figure out what the exact value of m is numerically, but what we can do is we can get m by itself and get all the other stuff on the other side. So this is called solving for m in terms of n. Okay, so when we're done, we'll have m on just one side by itself, and on the other side of the equal sign, we'll have the rest. It won't be just a number, but it will be, the m will be by itself. So let's go through the steps. Basically, it's the same as solving an equation with one variable, just with some slight differences. So the first thing that makes it easier is if we just circle the variable that we're solving for. So we keep in mind that that is the one that we are trying to get by itself. Okay? So normally what we do, the first step, we would see if there's any simplifying that we need to do. If we look on the left, 4m minus 3n, those are not like terms, so we can't combine them. And 8 is obviously simplified, so both of these sides are simplified. So we do not need to do that. The next thing would be to look for and see if the variable that we're solving for is on both sides, and it's not. The m is only on one side. The next thing we look for, if you recall, is what's being added to or subtracted from the variable. So if we look at the m, we see that we have 3n being subtracted from the 4m. So we want to move that on over to the other side. And of course, the way we get rid of something or move it to the other side is we use an opposite operation. So what we're going to do is over here, we're going to add 3n. And over here, we're going to add 3n also. But notice I'm not going to put it right under the 8 because it's not like terms with the 8. It's not like terms with the 8. So when we end up adding them together, they're just going to stay two separate terms. So on the left side, we're just left with 4m. And on the other side, because these cancel out, on the other side, we're left with 3n plus 8. Okay? And then if solving an equation normally, what we would do next is we'd say, all right, well, this is 4 times m going on. We're going to have to undo the multiplication. The way we undo the multiplication is with division. So we're going to divide both sides by m. So here, divide by 4. We're going to divide by 4 here. And then over here, guess what? This whole thing over 4. This whole thing over 4. Okay? So we end up with these crossing out, and we have m equals 3n plus 8, all of it over 4. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is, so we want to separate this into two separate fractions on this side so that we can simplify. So if you have a polynomial on top, what you can do is you can separate this into two fractions, 3n over 4 and 8 over 4. So that's what we're going to do. So m equals, or we could just even write 3/4 n plus 8 over 4. And now we can simplify. Well, 3/4 n doesn't simplify down, but 8 over 4, well, guess what? That simplifies to 2. It simplifies to 2. So the final simplified version is m equals 3/4 n plus 2. And now it is solved, and we have now solved for m in terms of n.